So we're here today with Josh Bravener, just graduated from Leo Hayes last year. I thought that his experience as a professional would be really helpful to our aspiring musicians at Leo Hayes. So, playing music.
Pardon?
How long have you been playing music?
Ooh, that's a good question. I started playing music when I was 6 years old. I started impersonating Elvis with my father, and I did that from when I was around 6 to when I was about in grade 8, which is about 12 or 13 years old, correct? And then when I hit into high school, I thought the Elvis impersonating thing was kind of cheesy and silly, so I stopped Elvis impersonating, and then I started writing my own music in grade 9 and 10. And it wasn't really until grade 11 that I really started to take it seriously and start playing more shows as Josh Bravener rather than Josh Bravener as Elvis.
Okay.
So there's two answers. It could either be about like a few years or my whole life.
Possibly your whole life.
Yeah. Really, the majority of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a great voice, but what other instruments do you play?
I play, mostly I play the guitar and banjo, but I've been teaching myself piano as well. But mostly not, I wouldn't say I'm a piano player, but I consider myself a guitar player and somewhat of a banjo player.
Okay. So how do you describe your own music? Like, what kind of genre is it? What kind of feeling does it make? Like, does it make people feel? I don't know.
The genre. That's a tough one. I've gotten folk music before. I've gotten like classic country before. Kind of like I call it like a mix of classic country and folk rock music.
Yeah.
Somebody called me a mix of Hank Williams Sr. and Bob Dylan once, if you're familiar with them.
Okay.
And what I try to do with my music, you said how you asked how it makes people feel.
Yeah.
I kind of like to make people feel a bunch of different things. So I might write a song that it's kind of depressing, the deeper, darker corners of my mind, and then I'll try to incorporate songs that you can dance to as well and make you feel good. Well, I like those songs the most.
So you're versatile.
Yeah, I don't want people to come to a show or listen to me and be like, "Geez, this kid's boring." You know what I mean? But they might, but I try not to.
So what kind of music do you generally listen to?
That I listen to? I listen to a little bit of everything. Recently, I've been listening to a lot of like folky, folk music and a lot of classic country. It's where I get what I listen to the most, just to try to pull inspiration for my own music as well.
Mm-hmm. So any favorite band or favorite artist?
I'm a really big Hank Williams Sr. fan, as well as recently I've really been getting into the Avett Brothers, if you're familiar with them. Have you heard of them?
No, I actually haven't.
Well, they're awesome. You check them out.
Okay.
They're like, I kind of pull a lot of inspiration from them. I heard them a few years ago, and then I went to see them in concert here at Harvest, and then my mind was absolutely blown. And so I thought I should step up my game. So I've been listening to a lot of them as well.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
And pardon?
No, you go ahead.
I know you come from like a very musical family, and I saw your dad perform at Harvest, and I thought that was amazing.
Yeah.
Is the drummer from Oh No Theodore. So how did they influence your music? Like coming from such a musical family.
Yeah, my dad was a huge influence on my music. Because I did start out singing with him Elvis. We were Elvis impersonators together. And as you know, Elvis, or as you may not know, Elvis didn't write any of his own music. He covered a lot of songs. So singing all these Elvis songs made me kind of think like, where did he get these songs? So of course he covered some Hank Williams Sr. and he covered some old-time blues singers as well. So I went out on my own and I dug and I found the originals of these versions and I fell in love with them. So my dad and I, we they both were big fans of, as well as like the rootsy bluegrass and the roots rockabilly, where Elvis got his inspiration from. So we started a bluegrass band, a bluegrass rockabilly band, and we started covering all this bluegrass and rockabilly music, as well as the Hank Sr. and stuff. And then, so we played a lot of the same stuff that I incorporated in my sets now. And the only difference is my father doesn't play alongside of me, so... I mean, my father was a huge inspiration because, like, he was kind of almost holding my hand half the time. He introduced me to everything. He got me all, like, my first shows and so on and so forth. As well as Aaron. Aaron was a drummer in one of his bands. So we kind of branched off of my father's tree, you could say, of music.
Yeah.
And now my brother's playing with me in my band.
Oh, that is so cool.
So we branched away, and then we came back. So maybe my father can join me now, as well. It'd be like the old times.
So, the Bravener band.
The Bravener family band. My dad's been shooting for that one for a while now.
Aw. I mean, like, some parents want some parents want to make their own baseball team out of their kids, and your family have your own band.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you're super comfortable and at ease on stage. Like, did you gain that confidence from performing with your dad and impersonating Elvis, like, at a really young age, or?
Yeah, for sure. It obviously helped that I started at such a young age. Like anything, when you start younger, you obviously get more comfortable with it. Still to this day, I get really nervous before a performance, but I see that as a good thing. If I'm not nervous before a show, I know it's not going to be a great set. But yeah, I kind of surprised myself as a young kid because I was going up on stage for the first time at this Elvis competition. It was really like the first time I really performed. It was on this huge stage with a live band and like thousands of people, like way out of my league it seemed at the time. Well, it was insane. And I was really nervous, but then I got on stage, and then as soon as I started singing, like I just knew like that's exactly what I love and what I wanted to do. So I kind of know that even though I'm nervous, and I'm really nervous and anxious about singing, as soon as you start singing, or as soon as I start singing, I kind of forget about it all. But I still get nervous.
Wow, I'm surprised that you do get nervous, because like I have a question about if you actually ever get nervous anymore.
Every show.
Yeah, with all the experience you've had, that seems possible.
Yeah, every show I get a little nervous.
Cool.
Well, I get nervous I've been really nervous for some shows.
Mm-hmm.
Like some shows I'm incredibly nervous for. But those are usually the funnest.
So aside from that first big show, was there like a special memory about some musical experience, like the first CD you've ever got, or the first concert you went to that kind of really stood out in your mind?
The first CD I got, or the first concert I ever went to that stood out?
Mm-hmm. Something along those lines.
That's a tough question. I don't really remember like any of the first albums I bought. Obviously, I bought some Elvis CDs and stuff. And probably... And like Elvis impersonating contests were like the first concerts I ever went to as well. I was never really big on concerts till recently either, which is kind of weird. But some concerts that definitely stand out in my mind were obviously... Avett Brothers was one. But there's this maritime artist named Ben Kaplan. You ever hear of him?
No, probably not. I'm actually not really familiar with maritime's music until this class.
You should check him out. Ben Kaplan, he's this big bearded man from, I think he's from Halifax or somewhere in Nova Scotia. It's insane. Anyway, I went to one of his concerts this summer, and he just sings really loudly and really aggressively, and he's hitting all these high notes, right? And it's at a music festival, so it's the atmosphere is just incredible. And as soon as he's just belting all these hard notes and slamming on his piano, just this torrential downpour and thunder and lightning hit, and that was the most, I think, religious experience I've ever had in my entire life.
Wow.
It was incredible.
So speaking of, musical experience and influences, Leo has a really great music program. So did you have any teacher that stood out in your mind, or any experience there that helped you develop your music?
For sure, yeah. Maybe? For sure. I think there's two memories in particular that really stand out in my mind. The first was, I was sitting in, they both involved Mr. Brown, the guitar teacher and the art teacher as well.
Yeah.
I was sitting in his classroom, and he started singing San Francisco Bay Blues, which is an old song, and he was singing it, and I really liked it, and he asked me, hey, have you ever heard the Eric Clapton Unplugged album? Because that's where he got the song from. And so I said, no, I've never heard that album before. And so he told me to go out and find it. So I went out, and my father actually found it at a secondhand store. And I listened to that album, and then that like changed my life, that album.
Wow.
I just learned every single song on that album. It just inspired me to like become a better guitar player and write more music in that kind of style.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd say it was about the next year, I was in Mr. Brown's guitar class. And my whole life I played rhythm guitar, just strumming the guitar kind of thing, no solos or anything. And we were doing a performance in front of the class, and I had to do a solo. And my solo just sucked. Like, it was just bad. And then Mr. Brown looked at me and he said, Josh, I expected more from you. And he didn't mean it in any, like, harsh way, but I took that and I was like, I kind of feel embarrassed now. Like, I should have had to live up to his expectations. So I went home and I practiced soloing for like 4 hours a day.
That would hurt.
Oh yeah.
But
I mean, it was the best. I think it might have been one of the best constructive criticisms or destructive I've ever had in my entire life.
Oh, wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, it really pushed me. I don't even know if he knows that happened, but it did. I remember it.
I would tell him if I had the chance.
Yeah.
Okay. So I actually saw you in Christmas at the Playhouse like a year ago.
Yeah.
And so have you been in a lot of plays and musical, or have a lot of theater experience?
Yeah. I did have a lot of theater experience from when I was like in elementary school till sometime in middle school. I had theater experience. I was in just some TMB stuff. I was in Grease and The Sound of Music. And that definitely helped my performance part of my show. Having that background.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah, but I don't do that anymore. Well, I guess I did do Christmas at the Playhouse like last year, but I took a big break from theater, and then I went back to Christmas at the Playhouse last year, and that's when I really realized that theater wasn't for
you. Yeah. So you've collaborated with other young musicians like Margot, or next week you'll perform with Bolivia.
Yeah.
So like how do these experiences shape you, kind of like influence you in a way, like performing with other artists?
Well, yeah. It actually helps a lot because all musicians have different ideas, different styles, different things they want to bring to the table. So a good example, for instance, is I just recently recorded my CD, and I wanted a band to play on the CD. Like, I didn't want it just to be me. So I got all these guys together, and we started jamming, and they just threw out ideas, and they played things that I would have never even thought of. So every time you play with somebody new, even if it's an original or even a cover that you're playing, they add things to the table that you yourself probably wouldn't have thought of originally, and it makes it more unique than if it was just myself playing. So and then if you really like it, you can keep that, and it makes you better. So playing with people, it's just going to make you better and open your eyes to way better things as well.
Wow. So you just got back from Montreal, right?
Yeah.
So like, do you have a show in Montreal?
I did. I played like a 15-minute set down there, but any set's a good set, right?
Yeah.
Set, especially in Montreal. It was really cool.
Wow. So how often do you perform in public?
About once a week now.
How do you get gigs? Like, what's your most memorable show so far?
My most memorable show is probably last month. It would have been. I still consider myself new at this. So every show I play, I grow as an artist, and I get more comfortable and have more fun. But about last month sometime, it was the second show I ever played with my band, and we played at the Capitol Complex downtown, and it was just so much fun. It was just a lot of fun. The crowd was just dancing, and they were so into it, and it was just a blast. It was definitely my most memorable so far, but I mean, it was just last month, right?
Yeah, that sounds amazing. And you're still young. There'll be so many shows to come.
Yeah, I'm still a little boy.
Yeah. How do you get these gigs? Like, what kind of connections you make? I don't know. Advice for aspiring musicians, maybe?
How do I get shows? Well, I got lucky with some. It's just you got to be in the right. Well, sometimes you just got to be in the right place at the right time. You got to invite people to shows. Like, I was kind of creepy, and I found out some people's names that I knew they did booking and stuff, and I'd bug them and ask them to book me and stuff, and that worked. I got a show down in St. Andrews. It was last night from bugging a guy.
Yeah, but you have to be aggressive, right? If you want something.
Yeah, exactly. Not aggressive, but definitely got to keep at him.
Straightforward.
Yeah, and with my dad was definitely, and my brother are definitely heavily into the music scene, and they definitely give me names of people, and I email them, and I invite them to my shows, and they come out, and if they like what they see, they'll ask me back.
Okay, so you have to reach out to people.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to get, well, you might if you're crazy good, but it's hard to get a steady amount of shows. You really got to keep playing and just playing the gigs that you don't want to play, because there's going to be shows that come along, and it's just, you're not going to feel it, you're just not gonna really want to do it, but you gotta fight through those tough shows. Like, I played a show for like a crying baby once and his father. that was something else, but it's all part of the experience.
Yeah, no, that is really deep. Yeah. So are you planning on moving to a bigger city like Toronto, Montreal, or Vancouver for more exposure?
I thought about it. Not anytime soon. The Fredericton music scene is stellar. So right now I'm still trying to tackle it, still trying to get a grasp of it. Like, when I was in Montreal, it was a little overwhelming. It made me really realize how much I like it in Fredericton. So I'm planning on staying here for a while and just keep playing here. But it was interesting. I was downtown Montreal, and I was in a Tim Hortons, and a girl came up to me and she was like, "Hey, are you Josh Bravener?"
Wow.
Yeah, that was neat.
Yeah, that's wow. I really did not expect that.
Neither did I. It was weird. I don't even think she asked me. I think she just went, "Josh Bravener," and I looked, and I was expecting to see somebody I knew, but then I realized I don't know anyone here. Yeah.
So you write your own music, right?
I try to.
Yeah, I love your song OCD, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
So what do you think about focusing more on composing your own music?
It's hard. Composing my own music. I find it hard to consider myself a songwriter. Like, I've been writing since grade 9, and I've only releasing my EP now. It's only got 5 songs on it. Like, so in that span of years, I've only come up with about 5 songs that I really enjoy. So I find songwriting hard. It's definitely something I gotta work on. Try to get more comfortable with anyway.
Yeah, well, I thought creating arts in general is hard. And it takes experience, life experience that maybe a lot of young people don't have quite yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's hard to expect young musicians or young writers in general to come up with their own stuff.
But some people just have that.
Yeah.
Have the writing songs ability. Like, I have friends that were in high school that produce a song a day that would blow my mind.
Wow.
And I'd be like, how do you do that? I'd call myself a performer. I try to entertain people as much as possible, so I do cover the songs that a lot of people know and that like to sing along to and dance along to, as well as I try to make my songs that as well, so hopefully maybe someday they could turn into that.
Yeah, no, that is cool, because you're really good at performing, so...
Thank you. Yeah, I try to make it as interesting as possible.
So, as a young musician, what are some difficulties you've come across so far?
Difficulties as a young musician. It's hard to tour as a young musician. It's hard to get out and about when you don't have your license yet. Or I've gotten turned away from shows before because I've been underage. I'm under 19. That's been a struggle sometimes. But a lot of people, if you are really nice to them, they will let you in and play as long as you're good. So those are some struggles. And puberty was a big struggle for me as well. I couldn't sing well.
Right, yeah, like, I don't know, it's weird to compare you to Justin Bieber, it's just that, when I thought of that, like, that's like,
yeah.
I feel like, yeah, his voice is gonna change. I don't really know him, but it really kind of did change. So,
yeah, it did.
And for a lot of really, like, young kids who become big on YouTube or something, and they're gonna hit puberty in a few years, that's kind of scary.
It was a tough thing. Thing. But I was still in my Elvis. I was still in my Elvis stages then. I did have some trouble singing the Elvis songs, but now I write songs to whatever key fits my vocal range.
So why did you decide that you were gonna pursue music professionally? Like, did you ever have any doubt, or was that just the one thing you wanted to do?
That's always been the thing I've wanted to do. I'm always looking for things to fall back on, kind of thing. But I've always felt that I want to be a musician for the rest of my life, and that is what I want my career to be, for sure. I've always felt that way.
Wow.
Ever since I was a young child. But and I mean, it's kind of hard to say that because so many people have that dream, and a lot of people can make music their career. But a lot of people can't. It's a tough thing. But I mean, I'm gonna try.
It's a tough road to go down on.
Exactly.
Like, starving artists and everything.
Oh yeah, so I'm still living.
You're doing what you love, then it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So that's like, you're one of the, I don't know, like, you're that type of people that I really admire, because I really want to know exactly what I want to do, but I actually have no idea.
Yeah. Yeah, I have lots of friends like that as well, but I mean, it'll come.
Yeah, so I was gonna ask you if you're planning on recording a CD, but you already have, so...
I did, yeah. It's almost done.
What's gonna be on it?
There's 5 songs on that CD. And, for them, not everyone, but they're already released out to the public, that I recorded myself. They're the Summertime, OCD, Dark Was the Night, and Without You. And then there's a new one called I Don't Want to Die on there as well. And I got a really cool group of guys to play on that with me. I got a fiddle player, Keegan Manson Curry, who plays in Margot. I've got a guy named Jamie Guitar, and he's playing upright bass. My brother's on drums, Aaron Bravener. I got Dylan Anthony, who works at Tony's, to play on the pedal steel, dobro, and electric guitar, and I'm on banjo, guitar, and vocals, obviously.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, is it going to be in iTunes?
Yeah, it's going to be everywhere. I'm going to try to get it everywhere I can.
So we know where to get it, then.
Oh, yeah. You'll be able to find
it. So that's it. Thank you so much. This is really awesome, Tim.
Oh, thank you. No, anytime. I love doing things like this. It's fun.